I forget what brought it up, but Maria was talking about something she'd seen on Facebook, and she called it Facebooky. It made everybody laugh, and Eric asked with shining eyes if that's what people called it down her way. "Oh no," she said. "Johnny is the one who calls it that, and it just became our thing." They looked at me a little disappointed, but Josh asked if there was a reason for it, and I said, yeah, I'd learned some things about Portuguese. They can't end a word on a consonant, so in the case of loan words, they'll add a long E sound to the end. If it's a hyphenated word, both parts get an E. It's hilarious when you see guys looking like gangsters on TV trying to look tough and edgy, talking about hippy-hoppy. Eric and Josh laughed, but Rebecca pursed her lips and looked down at the table for a bit. Dad noticed. Also, they don't pronounce the letter R like we do. To them, it's an H, and that's why Olaf says Hoist Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. If you're watching Brazilian MTV, they're talking about the latest hits in Hockey Holy, and I think it's a riot. So I started calling it Facebooky for a while. When I picked the quote for the beginning of Volume 3, with a quote about saudade, I'd been looking for a recording of people saying it so I could get the pronunciation right. Googling it, I found a video of a girl singing about Van Gogh's sunflowers in Portuguese and laughed when she pronounced his name Van Goghy. That's when Rebecca interrupted to correct me, saying his name isn't Van Gogh, it's Van Gogh. The rest of us frowned, but she smiled her smug little smile, happy with herself. It's like saying tough or enough. Now, I'd heard people in Ireland and the UK saying it like that and wanted to make sure, so I Googled it years ago and was happy to correct her correcting me. Actually, I said, it's pronounced Von Hoch and made a guttural sound, because it's Flemish. My wife flashing me that look again, her warning look. Eager to smooth over the wrinkle in the mood, Josh changed the subject. Food's great here, isn't it? I've seen your restaurant posts on Facebooky, and that looks good. Thanks, I said. We're trying a lot of new things right now, like desserts that have other flavors than just sugar. Aren't desserts supposed to be sweet? Dad asked. Well, yeah, of course, but not just sugar. Like, we'll chop the top off a pineapple to make it flat so it'll sit upside down overnight, and all the fructose that normally pools in the bottom, it'll permeate the whole thing, making it taste much sweeter without having to add processed sugar. Sounds like you're overcomplicating things, he said. Or making desserts that aren't sweet, like this one cheesecake that was more boozy and bitter and tart. It had some sugar, yeah, but it also had ricotta, cacao nibs, orange zest, and Fernet Branca. That sauce we poured on top, hibiscus essence. I thought that tartness brought it all together. I waited a moment, for applause that never came. My dad looked at everyone else with that triumphant, boy isn't he stupid look in his eyes and said, Johnny, it's pronounced Fernet Branca. Not Fernet. No, it's Fernet. The rest of the world says Fernet. They also say Gal Gadot and Brett Favre and Babe Newworth, but it's actually Fernet. Bullshit, it's French. I shook my head. It's Italian. I corrected a girl once when she said Fernet and she told me to look it up. I had to eat my words. And now so do you, I chose not to say. But I didn't have to, because everybody knew that's exactly what I was thinking. And what do you mean about Babe Newworth? That's her name, he said through his teeth. I shook my head. It's Bibi. The fuck it is. I saw someone ask her on an interview. No, you didn't. I nodded. She said people ask her all the time. It's Bibi, short for Beatrice. Your grandmother was named Beatrice, Dad shouted. We were all taken aback by his sudden anger, which maybe wasn't so sudden. Come to think of it. Yeah, so? I asked defensively. She was B, not BB. And that's okay. People choose to be called whatever they want. Besides, Mama's real name wasn't Beatrice anyway. What? Eric jumped in now, trying to stick up for me while calming my father down. Yes, we found out a little while ago she was born Brigida, only she hated that name, and Baba let her change it when he was changing your last name from Scalizzi to Ferrar. My father was livid. Who told you that? Did she tell you that? She's got dementia. She doesn't know her own name on a good day. It was on her birth certificate, Eric said with a measured calmness. We asked her about it. Dad was breathing so heavily through his nose that his face was trembling, and Rebecca sat beside him with the faintest smile curving her toad-like lips. Then a change came over him, a malevolent glee, and he turned to my wife. Do you know where your husband gets all his lines he uses on the girls, the whores he dates? We used to listen to him on the kitchen phone while he was talking to his girlfriends in the other room. I told him, if you're going to breathe heavily into something, find a shoe. Anyway, he'd repeat the lines from the movies he'd watch. Didn't have an original thought in his head. Did he ever say this to you? He looked at me with that shit-eating grin, then put on a contrived face of anguish. Oh, I don't know what I want, but I know what I don't want. I don't want whatever came between us. Then he grinned like a jackal. Did he ever use that one on you? Who said that line, Don Johnny? There was a painful pause at the table, and the ticking of the kitchen clock was suddenly very loud. My wife pursed her lips, winding her napkin around one finger, twisting it and twisting it until it almost ripped, and then dropped it on the tablecloth and leaned back. I don't know which is more disturbing, she said, that you used to eavesdrop on his love talk, or that you remember it to humiliate him 20 years later. Then she pushed herself away from the table and stood. Well, look at the time. Tomorrow comes early, Johnny. If we're going to take that city bus tour, we better get to sleep. Then she went to the TV room and gathered up all of our stuff and carried it into the bedroom Todd and his family had used to occupy, claiming it for herself without a word. My mouth was very dry and my lips kept sticking to my gums, but I said, maybe making us watch the same things over and over for years like Blackadder drilled those lines into our heads instead of something worthwhile. I got up and went to our new bedroom, shutting the door quietly.